Great, so thank you for taking the time to meet with me and to participate with this interview. The aim of this interview is to understand different areas of the Agile project, the Exams for Doctors project. Please feel free at any point to withdraw from the interview or to say no comment to a particular question. At the end of the interview, there'll be an opportunity to go through the video recording and to make any additional comments if you wish. Please note there's no time limit and you're free to give as short or long descriptive answers as you'd like. When giving answers to some of these questions, if you could give some sort of examples from the project, that would be really helpful.
I'll do my best.
Are you happy for the interview to begin?
Of course. My name's Simon Drohan. I'm the, I guess, the coordinator / manager for the for this project. It's difficult to say. I think yes. We've got a model starting to emerge from the process. I wouldn't describe it as something that has enormous value yet, but I think it's certainly providing the foundations. That's my. Sorry, do you want me to expand?
One thing I wanted you to expand upon was you mentioned value. Do you think that there is value there because we've started the process quite early in terms of delivery?
I think the potential for value is a combination of the content that is yet to be added to the site and the. I may not have answered the question correctly in the first instance. I think in terms of what you might mean by value, the work itself that is being conducted is tremendously valuable, and I would hope in two senses. One, to the future of the D4D project, that we've got a template starting to emerge for a database. In terms of commercial value, I think that's probably the way I was thinking, because my mind is perhaps a little more commercial. I don't think there's anything that's got tremendous commercial value yet, but in terms of intrinsic potential value, I think we've achieved a great deal. I'm very, very satisfied with what we've achieved so far as a team of people. So yes, of course, there's value from to the project and to the future of this what may become an enterprise. But at the moment, it doesn't have a particular commercial value because of its the nature of the stage. I think that's the. Sorry.
Yeah, that's excellent.
I think inevitably, the progress has slowed down for a couple of reasons. One has been as the team has spread out a little bit more geographically. I think that's definitely had an impact on progress. I think we've seen one or two technical challenges emerge that, in terms of perhaps getting the site hosted and then providing a platform that would allow us to remotely test and comment on features and things. I think it's taken a bit longer than any of us anticipated, and that's because it's been done on a voluntary basis. The other side to that is that both Chris, the doctor, who's sort of leading the academic side of it, and indeed myself from a commercial point of view, have had other things to do. And noting that you guys as students are starting to get into, two of the people who are involved in it voluntarily have taken up other career paths or working on that progression than you as an individual. We wanted to support that as well. So we've not pushed hard for deadlines. We've recognised the fact that people have got other things going on. But in terms of the general picture, we're knowing what exists without yet being able to see it online, but having seen the demonstration packages that we've got so far, we're still satisfied with what we've got to.
If you hadn't have seen the demonstrations, say the local host when Mia showed it on the laptop a few months ago, do you think your perception of things would have been vastly different then?
I think it would, yeah, because I think we would be concerned that there wasn't anything to show for the effort that we've put in, and that's not true. There is a lot. It's clear there's a great deal of work gone in. I think it's now coming to this phase where it's coming away from like an academic project, and it's going to become something that has a perhaps a business life to emerge from it. I suppose as customers, would you define us as a customer, or the end, or end users? That's the.
I mean, one definition of a customer is somebody who pays for a product.
Right. So the person who would be an end user, you mean? I don't think we're in a position to gauge that yet because of the nature of where we are. I don't. I haven't got a handle on. I think it's probably too early to start to talk about customer satisfaction. What we've got is a perception of and indeed what we spoke about earlier this evening is the a template and a structure, if you like, that we envisage as being the right vehicle to offer something tangible to our customers. Are we in a position yet to satisfy them? No. Will we be? I'm confident that we will be if we continue to work together on it. Yeah. As Chris is concerned, I think we've reached a point where Chris understands that his responsibility now is to generate content with a view to populating the site so we can actually start to test it. So in terms of Chris as a customer, I think he's satisfied with the progress that we've made, and I think we've got a clearer view across, well, between us and the hopefully between the other people in the team, what we're trying to achieve next. So I think we're working towards a goal of ultimate customer satisfaction, and I think if you're considering Chris as a client, if you like, I think he's relatively satisfied with the progress that we've made up to date. I think he's aware that he's not been able to dedicate as much time to this process as because he's such a busy guy developing his surgical career to generate the content that's required, and we're looking at other ways of doing that at the moment. But I think generally, he's quite happy with the progress there. And I think we've got a view formed, and a clear view formed between us of what the package needs to be able to do to make the customer experience really good. It's now just a case of knuckling down and doing it. I think it's an interesting project in that the way it started was, obviously we've changed different team members, we've brought different people in through the process because of the nature of it being collaboration with Sheffield Hallam. We've had to be mindful that we've got a collaborative sort of approach from using it as an opportunity for a student project to getting our development work done. Just remind me of the question.
The question was with regards to any changes that have been requested.
The brief was sort of written at the beginning, and we've I think understanding the technology and what can be done from yourself, from Amir, particularly, in fact, about what the selection of platform, selection of technology has perhaps steered our thinking, particularly thinking around things like perhaps data mining, what we can do. So you said we've explained what we're looking to achieve, and you said I need to be able to use this piece of software or this package we recommend, and we have quite a debate about that. And I think that's where perhaps that's allowed us to understand perhaps that we can achieve a bit more based on you telling us what the systems can do. So I think that's an example of where we've perhaps broadened the scope of the project, because we can understand that there's more we can do once we start to learn about how the database is going to be put together. So I think there has been a little bit of change, particularly when it comes to some of the analytical things that we've spoken about how to slice and dice information from the user, how to perhaps when we talk about specific exam questions, and developing a profile for that question of how hard it is to answer that question. And then if we offer users, we've talked about developing the capability to offer users the ability to answer harder questions. And so how do we measure what's a harder question and what's not a harder question, or what's an easier question, and those that obviously don't get answered correctly as often as other ones, ostensibly could go into a category that's called harder questions, and so on. And really, sort of us working with you has led us to understand that these are realistic requests, and you've said there are definitely ways that we can achieve that. So I think that's a really good example of how we the benefits of working together in the way that we are, in this sort of collaborative sort of studious style, rather than a straightforward client responsibility, client relationship where we would write a brief and you would just deliver it. We would we get there's a great deal of advantage of working in this way, this sort of collaborative style. I think that's probably in a roundabout way. Put that in a few words, but
no.
that's I think a good example, and I think there are other examples, but I think that's probably one of the better ones.
One specific example I remember in the project was which software we were going to use at the start of the project, and that was almost like not a challenge, but it was a decision point that we had to make. Do you think that then yourself at that point, did you then look at it and say, well, what is going to give me the best competition advantage, or competitive advantage as a business point of view?
I think from a business point of view, there are two really key bits for us. There are two real key factors. One, in approaching the university to help us with this, we were very aware that we were wanting to get to work with people who were using and aware of the very latest sort of elements of the technology, so that we can make the site as future-proof. And I don't know what future-proof means. 10 years ago, future-proof meant something different to what future-proof means today. I completely understand that. But what we're aware of is that we've got a vision of a business opportunity, if you like, that gives us a platform where we're developing a continual professional development service for the medical community. But the way that computing is going to more cloud-based computing. It's going towards more tablet-based, portable device type to access information that's held remotely and stuff. We're, as a lay person, if you like, as a non-technical person, we can see this happening. So coming to the university to help us select the right tools and toolkit and the right development environment has been essential. I think that's absolutely key. So that's why we are where we are, and I think that hopefully we're ticking those boxes. Hello, I'm being interviewed. I would certainly hope it does. I think it does. I think, just recapping on some of the things we said in the last bit, I think the process is extremely collaborative. I think it's very flexible. I think we're all open to new ideas. I think that my role is very much to listen, as well as it is to try and manage, and to try and interpret what technology can do, and try and listen to what your team are saying about flexibility. And absolutely, I think it's fundamental to the success of the business going forward that we have both a platform and an attitude that supports flexibility and new styles, new features to be introduced. And I think that's an essential part of what we do. Probably not often enough, but the processes we share emails, we share meeting spaces, and we don't meet, I suppose, regularly enough, and I certainly haven't been in this last phase, but face-to-face meetings are perhaps the most productive time. Email is a funny thing when everything feels slightly at arm's length. I think when you're communicating by email, but certainly when you have a face-to-face meeting, it's much more. It's easier to convey the intentions and ambitions when we're all in the same room. I think that's important to recognise as we spread out more, that we'll have to be a bit more disciplined, I think.
From your other business sort of ventures, Steadfast, would you be able to envisage working this way?
I do work quite remotely in a way that with the other things that I do, the people I work with are at a distance, but we do try and meet at least once a week to sort of line out our issues, and that's I think the minimum really once the business is actually functioning that we could cope with. That's my own personal.
Excellent.
That's a difficult question to answer.
Technically, for example, if we just look at that aspect.
Technically, my job has been to listen. I've given a brief to you and Walter and Zaif, then to you and to then Amir and Fatima, and we've talked about platform, we've talked about environment, and we've then talked about the solution, and I've had to listen to, you've had to interpret mine or our objectives, and then you've had to perhaps indicate the toolkit that you'll use to deliver a solution that matches what our ambition is, and you've had to understand and, if you like, respect what it is that we're trying to achieve. We've had to listen to your assessment of our technical the technical solution that you propose to meet our needs, and that's been I think very successful. So technically, I think we've allowed you the free hand to develop within the environment that you think is most applicable to our needs, and I think that's something that we needed. Absolutely, I think it's imperative for a project like this. Yeah, and when we say good design, it's good technical design. That's the and that was and as soon as Chris approached me about this idea of making exam questions available on the internet, and we looked at some of the competitors, you could immediately see it was a web-based database type application, and knowing that and having been involved in a similar sort of exercise, not in the same field, but as a web-based database application before, it was very obvious for me to pick up the phone and speak to Peter, who's your course leader, to ask him, how we could work with Shepherd Home to put a solution together, to put the foundations in place for this. So that was. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I think it's been a bit slow, and I think that I think we all put our hands up to that. I think Chris has been very busy with, we've not perhaps been as disciplined about generating and have the time and ability to generate a bit more content, which is then perhaps I've not wanted to put pressure on him, because I know he's under a lot of pressure in his career. In terms of what we've achieved, technically from your side, I think you've done what's been asked, and we're satisfied. I think I'm disappointed to a certain extent that we're not a bit further on than we are now, but I think I recognise my own limitations in that, as that I've been very, very thinly spread on other things as well, and I've not given it as much attention as I could have done either, and I think that's inevitable in a project like this, which is a little bit of a side project from our mainstream activities, and it's difficult when you're trying to do everything that is involved with earning a living, and then doing something alongside that as well, and bringing up a young family and so on. So it is quite challenging. I mean, that's life getting in the way. And I think perhaps we've not been as disciplined as we could have been, and that's a slight failing from our side. But that's something that we've got to try and.
Yeah.
Chris and I haven't met for as frequently as we I think need to, and certainly I've met you relatively regularly, but not as frequently as I would have liked to have done within this. And I recognise that, and that's something again as perhaps as the project intensifies in the next phase, as we do start to see the thing come online, and I think that will give us the incentive to I think to resolve issues which will inevitably be there, because we'll see functions that don't work and we'll want them fixing.
Yeah, when the website is up and running and testing.
Yeah, and I think that will inevitably lead to more meetings.
And more communication,
Definitely.
and getting Chris involved in speaking to developers more.
I've really enjoyed the process that we've been through. I've really enjoyed working with yourself. I've really enjoyed meeting Amir and Fatima. I'm really excited about the project. I think it's got a tremendous amount of potential. I'm still very committed to it, despite the hiccups along the way. I think we've got a viable and a very interesting opportunity in front of us. It's just now about how we coordinate ourselves to deliver it in the next phase. And I think we're getting more realistic about deadlines now, which is, I think, a plus.
Yeah.
I think the only thing, the recommendation is I think we should schedule and stick to a programme of meetings that's something from my point of view. I don't think I've been as proactive as I could be in that sense. I think I'll put hand up to that one. But that's all there is really. I think more conversation and more discussion would have led to more progress. But that's the only. I'm not dissatisfied. I'm very satisfied with the effort that you've put in, and that Amir and Fatima have done. I think it's from what has been a voluntary project. I think we've achieved a great deal. And I'm really happy with the level of understanding we've got. And I think we've met some interesting people along the way as well, and we've enjoyed working with it. So there's been a lot of pluses, and I think that the positives far outweigh the negatives in that sense. So yeah, I'm really overall satisfied.
Excellent. I think that's everything. So thank you very much.
No worries.